Hey, Bob Griswold here from Ready Made Resources. We do have a lot of customers call up asking about protective equipment concerning nuclear, chemical, biological. And today I'd like to make a short video concerning some of the things, what products are available, and some things you might not have thought about, and maybe to help you out a little bit when you're in your preparations. First of all, I want to point out my ham radio shack back there. I'm Kilo Mike 4 Indy Echo Quebec, and any of you ham radio operators, feel free to contact me. I'm generally on 20 or 40 meter. I'd like to talk to you, and as you know, I do believe that ham radio is probably the only method you will have for communication over any kind of distance during a crisis moment. So I do encourage everybody to get their ham radio license. But today we'll talk about protective masks and such. So anyhow, let's start. First of all, if this is a protective mask, and I really encourage people never to buy used equipment. You don't know what you're buying. It could have holes in it, it could be defective, and if you buy it and don't test it, and then when you go to use it, you'll find out there's a hole in it or something, and you know, it won't serve you well. In fact, you'll find out the hard way that you know, you could have a hole in it, and whatever agent's on the outside, you could get on the inside. So with that said, I just tell people to make sure they buy new equipment and then test it thoroughly. If you'll notice, this uses a standard NATO 40mm filter. They're about 25 bucks a piece, very easy to get. And one of the pieces of equipment I recommend very strongly is this positive pressure blower. This, without the blower, it comes right off. Well, this is called a negative pressure gas mask, meaning you have to use your lung power to draw air across this filter media to breathe. One of the things I caution people is never put one of these on a small child. Small child probably doesn't have the lung capacity to draw the air across it, and they could suffocate in it. Also, there have been people that have actually died from suffocation because they did not pull the protective cap off, and they thought they were under some kind of attack and died because they didn't take this thing out. So make sure you take that out, and then your gas mask will work. This positive pressure unit, like I said, it makes the breathing in this mask so much easier. If you're like me with a beard, or if you wear glasses, that can be compromises in the mask as far as sealing against your face. This right here changes it towards pushing the air in to where you create a higher pressure on the inside of the mask than the outside, and therefore you mitigate any possible compromise with your mask, your beard or your glasses. Another thing I recommend is one of these things. These are called banana oil ampules. We usually provide a couple with each mask that people buy. You would crush it, and then it smells like bananas. Yep, banana oil. And what I recommend people to do is to put their gas mask on. Actually test it. It doesn't hurt to pull the plugs out of the filter and test it, and then you can put it back in later. But once your gas mask is on, you would want to test and make sure that every one of the places where there could be a compromise, you run this around, and obviously you do not want to smell banana oil. If you do, then you do not have a good seal on your gas mask, and you would need to figure out why and then readjust it. One of the most difficult things I tell people about using a gas mask is taking it off, and people always ask me why. Taking it off seems pretty simple. Well, the answer is that if this mask has been kneaded and there's agents on the outside, if you touch it with your hand and then kind of touch your face or touch anything else, or even some agents can go right to your skin, you have just defeated the purpose of the mask. That's why I recommend having a pair of these military-grade butyl gloves that you can use to decontaminate. Now, decontamination is something I recommend with a buddy system, because it's hard to see that if you get everything in there and make sure every part is decontaminated, especially if you're using a hood. This hood goes over the mask and it covers your entire head to protect your head. And a buddy system is much more effective with a dispersal agent, which what most people will face. If you live in a city and there's some kind of rioting or something, you will face a dispersal agent such as this pepper spray or CS gas. That can be taken off generally with warm soapy water. If it's biological, you would want to use these ammonium chloride wipes. These are very, very effective, and even when you use them or buy it in the big gallon jug, which this makes 32 gallons of solution, this is what a hospital would use, by the way, you would still want to decontaminate, wait 10 minutes, decontaminate, wait 10 minutes, and decontaminate one more time, a triple-fold decontamination to make sure that you have killed everything that's on the outside if it's biological. Failure to do so, you could touch it, touch your face, contaminate yourself. If you're around your friends or family, you would end up maybe contaminating them. So you need to be thorough in decontamination. And as I said, this is totally ineffective. You don't want to put this on a child as a negative pressure mask. For small young children, say from 5 to 12 years old, this is a protective hood that goes over their entire head. It uses the same positive pressure blower, and it's very easy to fit. It has a rubber gasket that goes around their neck, so it's very easy to use. One size will fit all. And even for a small baby, they make this that you would put your small child inside of it, and then that would protect them from any type of agent. It uses the same positive pressure blower, and again, you can even feed them formula milk, whatever, inside. With a gas mask, with these, all these, they do have the ability to drink water. You know, we don't think about it, that you might get thirsty if you had to leave it on for a while, especially on a hot day like today where it's humid out. You would just screw this in to the mask. It just screws right in. And then once it's in, there's a little straw thing inside that you just put to your mouth, and you can suck water out of this canteen. Obviously, you'd want to have the water in the canteen ahead of time. Another question people ask me is, how long do these filters last? Well, it all depends on what you're looking at. A blood agent such as mustard gas will degrade this filter very, very quickly, maximum about 2 hours. Nerve agents, a lot longer because it's chemicals inside. Another thing that will affect the mask, the filter, is the amount of humidity that's in the air. The activated charcoal in the media will absorb moisture as you're breathing, and so on a really humid day, you're going to notice it's getting more difficult to breathe. And as far as nuclear, it lasts quite a long time, a couple weeks. And with nuclear, I would even recommend maybe taping a coffee filter or something like that over this inlet. That prevents the radiation from getting inside the filter where it's right next to your cheek, and radiation can get into your bloodstream and contaminate your body. Not internally, but they're just the radiological effects can affect your blood. The last thing you want with radiation is to actually ingest it, get it in your lungs, or eat it, or whatever. So decontamination is very, very important. In order to decontaminate from radiation, you would probably want to get some type of radiation meter to test. This is made in the United States. It's made by a company called Missouri. It tests very, very small amounts of radiation down to what's called the microsievert. So you can actually test your food with it, test milk. Keep in mind, milk having a lot of calcium in it is a bellwether to test to see if radiation is in your area or in the area where the cow was milked and brought to market. So, because the calcium will absorb radiation. So this is a very, very good instrument to have for testing radiation. They do make smaller ones, such as this Nuke Alert. It will chirp if there's radiation in the area. It actually tells you how many times it's chirping per minute, the level of radiation. As you know, you want to make sure that you have a full supply of potassium iodate to protect your thyroid gland. I tell people these are not Superman pills. If you're near radiation, it will still affect you. This just prevents your thyroid from becoming radioactive with radioactive iodine. Very important to have, especially for small children. As we get older, it affects us less, but for small children, this is very much mandatory. For chemicals, you can use this M8, M9 paper to test for chemicals. If there's been some type of nerve agent or blood agent, you would have to actually tear a piece of paper out of here. There's 25 sheets in here, and put it on the suspected chemical, and it'll tell you what you're dealing with. We have this available at Ready-Made Resources. If you want to take it further, you can always put on a protective suit. These are made out of Tyvek. They're pretty much impermeable to anything. Again, if you've used any of this equipment and there's been contamination in your area, decontamination is extremely important. If you're trying to decontaminate the whole body with a person with a suit on like this, getting a small kiddie pool and rinsing somebody down in the kiddie pool is a very effective way of doing it. Again, the buddy system is very important because, again, there's parts that you can't reach or see, and a buddy decontaminating, you can see it. But again, these are standard 40 millimeter filters. They fit the M15 gas mask. They're easy to change. Again, testing your equipment, buying it. If you bought it, test it. If you just stick it in the closet, the odds of you being able to effectively use this in an emergency, I would say, are greatly diminished, to put it that way. So if you bought this equipment, test it out. Use the banana oil, and then learn how to decontaminate. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. I will gladly help you and assist you in anything that you would have to know. With that said, I think I've covered all the areas that I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, Robert Griswold, Ready-Made Resources, feel free to give me a call. 800-627-3809, readymaderesources.com. If you like this video, if you want me to make more of these kind of videos, please click the subscribe and the like button. If you have questions, you can leave them on the comment section of YouTube. I will post this on YouTube shortly, and I'll post it on Facebook shortly. Please feel free to share it with your friends. And again, if I can help you in any way, answer questions, I've been through 2 NBC schools. Please feel free to give me a call at 800-627-3809. Thank you very much. Robert Griswold here.